How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at Scrub Games, and today we've got another episode of our Understanding How to Build series, going over each of the leaders from set 1 and helping you understand how to build them, because you can build each one in different ways, considering they've got a different aspect combinations, at least 4 different ones, and I don't want to be giving out deck lists to just basically say, here, play this, because it's not helpful, but it's helpful to help you understand how to build it and how to build any of these leads to suit you and your playstyle. So without further ado, we're going over today understanding how to build Leia Organa, so we can go and see what she offers and what way is best to play for you. So remember, if you're interested in this series, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel greatly, and also you can click the notification bell to get alerts when videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or at a time that suits you, so that way you can make time to watch it whenever. So we're going to have a look at Leia Organa, and let's have a look and check her out. So this is Leia. She is a very good leader and one of the nicest ones. She is one of the best ones in the game. Just doesn't see as much highlight compared to some of the top ones like Boba, Sabine, and like Iden and stuff like that. But she's a very good one. She is in the command and heroic aspect, so she get access to, without the aspect penalties, for command and heroic cards. She is a very good one to make use of the rebel aspect, because one of the things with this game is that the villainy side make a good use of the rebel with the imperial aspect, while the heroic side make very good use of the rebel aspect. And she is with the traits rebel and official, and she makes very good use of rebel cards, because she has very good effects on both when she's in the leader area and when she's deployed. And also she does deploy quite early at 5 resources, and given that she is in the command aspect, she can ramp to get out a little bit earlier, but still 5 is not too bad to get to as early as turn 4 to make use of it as well. And by then you want to kind of play out a fair few rebels to make use of her effects, because when she's in the leader area, her action is to tap herself and attack with a rebel unit, and then straight after you could attack with another rebel unit, so you can get 2 attacks in one action, which is very powerful. Being able to get more swings in fewer actions mean you can make use of your units before they get potentially taken out and defeated, and then also claim that initiative to then make sure you do it again and again. And when she does deploy, she has very good stats at 3-6, so she's not being taken out straight away by takedown, and she's got some solid stats to hit back and also take hits. Also, she has raid 1, so when she does attack, she gains extra 1 to her power, means she's swinging for 4 when she attacks, and she carries on with the same kind of effect to kind of get 2 swings in one action, because when she completes an attack, as long as she survives, you can attack with another rebel unit. So how with on the leader area, in the leader area, she can tap herself to make rebel unit attack and another rebel unit attack. With this one, she's a rebel herself, so she can attack and then attack with something else that's a rebel straight after. So she's all about getting 2 swings in one action to kind of be as aggressive as possible. She's kind of like aggressive lead, but also you can make use of this in control as well if you want to go that route. So that's the leader herself, and I'll have a look at the different aspect combinations she has. So being a heroic in command means she always has access to heroic in command, and with the right base, you can then have access to a different combination. So you can either have a vigilance and have access to that. You can go double command if you go for command base, or you can have aggression or cunning. So you always have the access to the kind of aspect combinations depending on what your base and leader are, and given that this is focusing on Leia, so she's always going to give you command and heroic, and then you can have access to one of the other aspects on the base, or even go for a command one to go for a double command. Now before we do have a look into the different aspect combinations, what they offer, we do want to go over the ratios. So there are the options to kind of play each of the cards in different ratios, so you can have a maximum of 3 copies of any given card, or you can have 2 copies of a card, or 1 copy of a card. Now we're going to go over the examples of the examples here to basically explain why you might want to go with 3 copies, 2 copies, or 1 copies. So we've got example here being Battlefield Marine. This is a very good unit. It's a very cheap unit with very good stats, being a 2 cost for 3/3. So it doesn't have any skills, but it still has very good stats for its effect. So you can play as early as turn 2, early as turn 1, because I forget that you start with 2 resources. So you can play it straight off the bat, and is a rebel as well, so makes use of Leia's effects. So if you can get this out turn 1, then attack with it and play another unit the second turn. Then when you come to your turn 3 on your 4 resources, you can then use your Leia's effect to attack with both this and the other rebel you played afterwards. You get 2 swings with 1 action to kind of be a bit more aggressive. So like you want cheap units, cheap strong units you can play off Leia, so you can make use of effect to attack with 2 in one goes. You can hit very hard, very quickly with multiple units in like fewer actions. And you have access to things like Admiral Akbar as well. This is another one that you probably want less copies because it's quite a cost, well, a bit more of a costly rebel unit at 3 resources, which isn't too costly, you might think. But he's not got the most aggressive stats. Like he's only got 1 power, but it does have a bulky 4 HP. But the main thing about this benefit is its like effect, where when played you can deal damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control in its arena. So if you target a space arena, you deal damage to it equal to the number of space units you control, and same with like ground to ground. So what is not, you need to build up a fair few units. You don't want to see it too early because you want to be playing out units, and consider it's free. If you want to play this with it, you're not going to be playing until you get quite late into the game, like many units with it as well. And it's not got the greatest stats to kind of like push damage for. So you might want to have this like 2 copies of this to have the option to use it like for the later parts of the game, but not want to have it too early. So you might have 2 copies of this. And you got Traitorous here. So this is one that's with Leia being more of an aggressive lead, like more like aggro one, you might not be wanting to play too many like Traitorous because it's quite a high costing one in 5 resources. It's going to take quite a lot of resources, potentially a whole turn to use. And it's very situational. It takes control of a free cost unit that your opponent controls. So you might be thinking, well, I'm playing this, but this is one of those things where it can be useful in certain situations, but in some other situations it could be not so useful. So it's one of those things like a tech choice, where if you see it when you need it, that's great. If you don't see it, you don't really care. And if you do see it, you don't need it, you can always resource it if you need. So it's one of those quite nice tech choices, so that's kind of makes sense of what we want. So for 3 copies off, you want cards you want to see as often as quickly as possible. 2 copies of a card to see, like hopefully not see it too early, but then see it when you need it later in the game. And then tech copies where if you see it, you don't see it. If you see it or see it, you don't. It's not that bad. But if you do see it, it could be helpful. And even if you do see it, it's not helpful. You can always resource it. So hopefully that makes sense with the ratios. But understanding if you want a copy, 3 copies, 2 copies, or 1 copies of any given card. So let's have a look and see the different aspect combinations and see what they offer you for Leia. So we'll start with the double command one because we're always going to start with the double aspect one to kind of make a little bit of a kind of point about if it's useful or not. So each aspect offers you 3 bases. So you get 2 vanilla bases at 30 HP bases that have no skill, just 30 HP. Well, you also get 1 rare base currently in set 1 of the base, but which has less health in 5 less health, but that loss of health results in you having an epic action that you can have once per game. And for command, you have one of the best ones in here, be an energy conversion lab, giving you the epic action to be able to play a unit that costs 6 or less from your hand and give ambush for the phase. Then you do have to still pay the cost for that card that you play, so you don't have to pay it for free. You do have to pay the cost of it, but you get to give ambush when you can come in and attack, like ready to attack a unit straight away, not a base, but attack a unit to help kind of manage a board. So there's that benefit, and you do also have with double aspect, you lose access to different aspect to have a smaller card pool, but gain access to cards that have double aspect without using up or incurring the aspect penalty. Because the aspect penalty basically means that if you want to go ahead and play a card, if the aspects match what's on your lead and base, then you don't have to pay any extra cost to it. But if any aspects on the card you want to play don't match what's on your leader or base, then you have to pay an extra 2 resources per aspect that don't match, as well as its normal cost. So if you want to play a free cost, but you did add an aspect like Cunning, that didn't match on your leader or base, you have to pay an extra 2 on top. So if it's a free cost, it would cost 5 because the aspects don't match. So do bear that in mind when you're looking at the aspects, because that is one of the biggest things and why you want to think about the aspect combinations among your leader and base. Now with double aspect, you do have access to, while having a smaller card pool, you do have access to 3 double aspect cards, and currently we only have 3, so you're looking at either losing access to a whole different aspect just to have access to 3 more cards, but then sometimes they can make a big benefit, so they might not. As we get more sets, we'll hopefully get more, you get access to more cards in that one aspect, and also more aspects, double aspect cards to kind of give more benefit of running double aspect. So for this one, we've got General Krell as your ground unit, a very nice one where when something's defeated, while it's on board, you draw a card. So it gives you more, basically just allows it to say if your cards die, you then start getting more cards to kind of have more options. You got Tap Pad and Delta, which could be very good with Leia, where if you have multiple units on board, which you kind of want to do, you can give them a big boost and then be able to get more swings in, especially with Leia being able to attack with multiple things and fewer actions. Then you have Command, so it gives you access to one of the free ramp cards, and if you're like a heroic side of Command, you don't get access to all three of the ramp cards because Super Laser Technician is a villainy one, so you don't get access to that without the aspect penalty. But you do access to Resupplies, the one for just Command, and then Command is the one for double aspect to give you a ramp. Does offer some pretty nice effects, either giving 2 experience tokens to a unit, allowing a friendly unit to deal damage equal to its power to a non-unique unit, put itself into player's resources, which is one you're going to normally use if you are running Command, and also the option to return a unit from your discard pile to your hand. So you want access to more ramps. If you want access to at least 2 of the 3 ramp cards for Leia, you'd have to go double Command, but I don't feel it is worth doing that. Double Command currently for the first set isn't a good way to run Leia, but you can try it out as you want because you do have access to Command as a really good event, and also attack pattern delta. Be able to, if you go for a wide board, be able to give it a big boost to kind of hit a little bit harder, especially during a turn when you could potentially deploy Leia and also make use of this to give many units. If you've got like these 3 units, give them more boost how you like, and then be able to swing with 2 on the leader side, deploy, and then swing with Leia and swing with everyone after to kind of push some big damage. So not the best way to play it currently for the first set, but if you want to try it out, you can. And then we have a look at Vigilance. If you want to run Leia with blue, it's an option you can have because it does bring you the rare base being Security Complex. With its action, be able to give you a shield token on a non-leader unit. So while you won't be able to protect Leia, you can at least give a protection in the form of one of your other rebel units. So you can kind of keep it around if you want to make sure you can get more attacks out of it. Because the longer your rebels survive, the more attacks you can get in with Leia in one action. And with the heroic side, you can get access to some pretty nice cards. You don't get too many in terms of like the most cost-effective rebels, so you can't really go too aggressive early because you don't have access to too many cheap rebel units to kind of get swings. But you do have access to a pretty nice one in Resornak V. Not the strongest, but gives you a bit of heal. Kanan allows you to come down for a more costly one, but still some pretty good stats, pretty nice effect to kind of mill and kind of give you extra heal. Custodial unit and Security Force, not the strongest, but it's quite bulky as well, so you want to run that, but it has no additional skills. And you have later ones like the Ghost and Luke Skywalker. Probably not the best one with the Ghost because of the fact that you need to have really ideally other rebels, and if you go, there's no really, Spectre, sorry, there's no other Spectres in Command. They're always around different ones. And the only one you have got outside of Ghost in Vigilance is Kanan, so you have to think about if that's a good combination. But you also have Luke Skywalker as well, being a very good late game, but that doesn't really match Leia's playstyle, being quite aggressive, quite early game aggressive, small, like low to the ground, small, wide board kind of aggression. You also do get access to some pretty nice ones here. You got Regional Governor as a good one to kind of like lock people out playing cards you don't want them to play. If you see it enough early enough to drop it. You do have System Patrol Craft as well, being a good space unit to kind of protect your base a little bit from the space. You also have some nice events and upgrades, like Entrench can stop it if your opponent's playing like space or a certain, more space than it is in the ground arena, because most of the time you're playing the ground unit because it's a lot of rebels in ground. But Entrench allows you to kind of make either your units bigger but can't attack bases, so you can help control board, or put onto your opponent's units so they can't attack your base if you're leaving space alone, and they play space units, equip them with Entrench so they can't attack your base, so you protect it that way. You also do have some very good instant defeat kind of events as well, like take down and vanquish to help out. But you're going to mainly go for your damage. So Vigilance isn't the biggest one, it doesn't offer the best in terms of like cheap rebels to go with like Leia's aggressive playstyle. So for kind of set 1 isn't the best way to go, but this is your options if you want to try a different way to play. Then we've got Aggression. So this is the more common way to play Leia because it offers a lot more strong rebel units and very strong on their cost, like the damage output. You also get access to a pretty nice base in Tiger Town with a nice epic action. The big deal allow you to deal 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. I mean, if you try to take out something but don't quite get there, you can use the base to kind of finish it off without being able to play a card to kind of do it. You also do get access to some really good space units as well in Green Squadron A-Wing and Red 3 being very good space units that kind of hit hard. Don't do too much damage when they're attacked, but they do hit hard when they hit themselves. Both gain and raid, like Screenslide Adrian with raid 2 and red 3 with raid 1, and even red 3 allowing you to give raid 1 to all your other heroic units to make sure they're like hitting a little bit harder as well, so giving that benefit to other rebels. And most rebels, well, mostly all rebels, are also heroic, is also given a big benefit to your other cards to make use of Leia. You also have access to pretty good ground units. It's a bean, you do more damage, and if you have, you can give yourself some bit of protection. If you have 3 aspects among, or at least 3 aspects among other friendly units, she can't be attacked, and also allows her to do a bit more damage, either chipping away that extra damage on base when she attacks, or onto whatever she's attacking. K2SO being a really good one, being a very annoying one to deal with as well, being a little bit costly at 4, so taking up quite a few resources for your turn, but coming down with some solid stats at 4/4. Also having overwhelm, so any excess damage dealt to a unit deals to your opponent's base. And if it is taken out for whatever reason, you can either deal 3 damage to your opponent's base to be more aggressive, pushing that damage, or making discard a card. And then if you go for a full heroic build and make sure you've got nothing but heroics in your deck, you have even more aggression in the term of For a Cause I Believe In. This allows you to reveal for 3 resources the top 4 cards of your deck. Then for each heroic card, you deal 1 damage. If you've got a deck full of just heroics, it's only going to hit 4. You get to deal 4 damage, 3 resources. And then you can look at, from those 4 cards, you can discard any number of them you don't want and put them back on top of your deck in any order you choose. You can choose which ones you're going to see in your next draw and things like that. It's a very nice card and very, very aggressive deck, and goes very well with Leia's kind of like ability on her leader. You also have some pretty nice ones in also your non-heroic side. So if you don't want to go for a Cause of Belief and go full heroic, you do have access to pretty nice and pretty strong cards in the other side of aggro or aggression. So you have Benthic 2 Tubes and Protestant Insurgent, two rebels that aren't heroic, but still rebels to help with Leia and offer some more aggression. You have Wolf Fear as a way to kind of prevent players from being able to heal. So while they can't heal the damage you push on base, so you keep pushing more damage. Sabling Fang Fighter being a nice one to kind of like knock off an upgrade and then keep fighting to be able to kind of restand your rebels to be able to attack more of them as well, to push more, be more aggressive as possible. So this works very well with like Leia's kind of ability to kind of push like damage, kind of like deals much damage to board the opponent's base to kind of finish the game as quickly as possible, and goes very well with being like a very low to the ground or white aggro. So this is the best way to play it, but we'll see what was offered in Cunning. So for Cunning, you get access to some pretty nice cards. You get access to Jeddah City as your rare base, and while it's not the best, it allows you to kind of like combat the board a little bit easier by giving a non-leader unit -4 attack for the phase, meaning it weakens something so you can attack it without it hurting you back too much. It's quite nice, especially if you need to clear something that's quite of a pain in the ass to have on board, but you can use it. It's not the best base, but it has a nice little use, and you get access to some pretty nice rebel units and cards in the heroic side of Cunning. So you get like Chopper being a nice little rebel one. You can attack and also adds a little bit extra with its when attacking, make your opponent discard a card from the deck, and if you hit an event off the discard, then you get to tap down one of the resources. You can kind of have a bit of resource control. You got Lawful Insurgent being a nice one, very good, like being like Sentinel Droid kind of stats, where you got 3 power, 2 health, but in one played, if you played another card that phase, you get to make your opponent draw a card and discard a random card from their hand. So they get to draw a card, so they gain a card, but then they got to discard a card at random, so they don't get to choose, so they can hit something they don't want to hit, which could be a pain. And it's quite cheap and quite powerful as well. And you got Ezra being a very good rebel as well, so you get access to this very strong rebel. Play it as early as turn 2, and just when it attacks, you can be able to look at the top card of your deck after if it survives the attack and play it, discard it, or leave it on top. So you can potentially hit things like Rebel Assault and stuff like that, which is really good, really nice cards. You can play out some more rebels straight from the top of your deck rather than using them from your hand. You got Rogue Operative being a very good rebel as well. Be able to hit with raid 2 as well, 2 damage, being quite bulky as well. And you have Bamboozle's a very nice one that kind of like keeps something tapped down, and also return all upgrades on a card to your opponent's hand as well. So like kind of like if your opponent just upgrades something massive, like I've had it before in Turret, then you can just like rest it, put all those resources back to upgrades back in the hand, or even put the upgrade like Traitorous back in your opponent's hand off of something. You can even play this card without paying its cost by discarding a Cunning card from your hand instead, which is quite nice. So you can access some pretty nice rebels still in Cunning, and then for the non-heroic side of Cunning, you've got access to some really nice ones like Crafty Smuggler. Why it's not the most beneficial with Leia's effect, being wanting rebels, you can count more of them. It's a nice little shoulder unit you can play turn 1. And you got start Pirate Starfighter, which once again isn't a rebel unit, but a very nice one to help you like bounce back. So if you want to use things like Mothma over again, you can use Pirate Starfighter to allow you to bounce back to hand, so you can then attack with it while play it again. So you don't have to. You can make use on play effect. And you got some nice like non-event cards like Snapshot Reflexes, allowing you to attack with equip it to a unit to give it an extra 1/1, and then attack with that unit straight away. And there's very nice ones that help you get more swings in, like shoot first, allow you to attack with a unit and give it +1 for that attack, and make it so it deals damage before the deal combat damage before the defender. So if you take something out with this, they don't do any damage back, so you're safe from being taken out yourself or having any damage taken. And even surprise attack being a 2-cost event, which is not too cheap, but allows you to attack with a unit and give an extra 3+ to kind of finish off games. And it's a nice one to like kind of like come in and snipe wins, where if you're like swinging with something and you give an extra 3 to that attack, potentially be enough to deal the final damage for base. So you get some very nice cards that can potentially be aggressive with it, and even with some of the like with access to the green green stuff you get for rebels in Leia herself, like Cunning could be a very nice one. So I feel like currently you don't have like going double aspect of double command isn't the most useful currently for set 1. Whereas same with vigilance, you don't get too many like cheap rebels to kind of make use of Leia's aggressive potential. But then with aggression is probably where you get them. Like with aggression is where you get most of the potential to make use of Leia's aggressive aspects, because you get to because where you can swing with 2 things in one action, it's very strong to kind of be very aggressive and very aggro strategy, and aggression goes very well with that, like Kent's the name. And you've also got Cunning have a nice way to do it as well, and potentially put more damage in with some nice events too. And of course, you've got access to the heroic side of things. So not only do you have access to the different aspects, you have access to very good rebel cards to make use of Leia in the heroic, just like the pure heroic cards, like Fleet Lieutenant. Be a nice little rebel card that allows you one attack with a unit, and if it's a rebel, give it extra 2 for that attack. So it'd be able to come in, being a rebel itself, to kind of force through a bigger swing for a unit, as long as it's a rebel, and still attack with anything, but then get more benefit if it's a rebel. You get Wing Leader being a nice unit you can play out. That's a rebel to go with Leia to be able to get some multiple swings in one action, but also powering at something else. The Donna, be able to power up all your rebels so they all hit a little bit stronger, so then Leia's putting even more damage quickly. And then Medal Ceremony, where if you keep swinging with things, you can even boost them up so they're even a little bit stronger. So Leia makes very good use being like very involved in the rebel aspect, and with the heroic cards being very rebel focused, now to get the best use out of Leia when it comes to any rebel strategy. And you might be thinking, what else do you get in access to with command and heroic? Well, you get some really nice ones, like you get Alliance Dispatchers being a nice one you can kind of bring out to kind of cheat things in a little bit easier, because his action is to tap himself to play a unit from your hand that costs and make it cost 1 less. So you can play things out quicker. If you don't want to use ramp, you can use Alliance Dispatcher as it. And this is normally like a target for attacks away from your other units if you have this out. You have Mon Mothma that has consistency plus also being a rebel, so while it's not the best stats, it allows you consistency to find other rebels to kind of play out, and it can be a rebel you can attack with as well to get a bit more chip damage as well. Then you got Wedge. If you want to go for a vehicle-based strategy, you have Wedge here, where while it's quite expensive at 5, it allows you to, like, if you want to go for a vehicle focus to give it a bit boost and have ambush and stuff to control board, that's a very nice one to go for. And also it's a rebel as well, so it gets the benefit of being able to be a card you can swing with Leia to get 2 swings in 1 action. And you get some very good events in like Rebel Assault being a card that's similar to is like Leia's effect in a event, where you can attack with a rebel, but it gets extra +1 for that attack. Then straight away after, attack with another rebel and give it an extra 1 for that attack as well. So you've got things like Leia itself allowing you to attack with 2 rebels 1 action, Rebel Assault do so, making for a very aggressive deck. And if you go to the late game, you have U Reinforcement allowing you to pay 7, which could be quite costly, but then again, your ramp card as well, allowing you to search the top 10 cards of your deck and play up to 3 units with a combined cost of 7 or less, and play them each for free. So you can spam out a load when you're going for like cheap, small units that so you can attack with multiple things quickly. U Reinforcement can grab you 3 units straight from the top 10 of your deck, straight onto the board to make use of as well. So a very nice way to spam at the board when it gets to late game, so you start controlling your board as well. And then we have some other good units in command as well, like Frontline Cell, while not being a rebel, still offers you a chance to like attack with things that are rested, so that way you can make use of their like when attacking effects and stuff. Storm and Star Viper being a very nice space unit you can play that gives you a bit of healing with Restore 2 when you want initiative. Colonel Yularen allows you to give a bit more heal just whenever a command unit is playing. You've got a very good amount of good rebel units in command, allowing you to give heal so you can kind of survive it longer. Then you've got nice non-units like a traitoress as an event you can potentially put for later game if you want to tech it in, and resupply to give a ramp if you want to. Leia seems to be like one of the few command leaders that you don't really need to ramp because you're going to play small things. You don't really want to play out. You don't really want to ramp up to play big things early. You want to play out a lot of small things. You can just overwhelm your opponent with a wide board of being aggressive as possible. So hopefully that's helped you out understand how to build Leia. And currently for set one, it's not like Leia is more of an aggressive leader than it is a control leader. But you can try and play a bit more control because it's got excellent capabilities to control the board by getting swings in to take out things before they can attack. Because where the game is a game with summoning sickness where you can't attack with things the same turn unless it's got ambush, but then can't attack bases, can attack units. You can use Leia to kind of control board, taking things out before they can even get going, before they can even get off an attack and things like that, which is really nice, and even go very aggressive with multiple swings in very few actions. So if you like, currently like double command is not the best option. Like vigilance doesn't give you many good options in terms of rebels, but then aggression is probably the best way to play it, the most aggressive way to play it with the best rebel options, and then cunning is a very good one to have for some more like a mid control option if you want to have a fair few rebels as well as some good options. So hopefully that helps you understand how to build Leia Organa for Star Wars Unlimited. And that's it for today. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and keep up watching. Because now we've done with Command and Vigilance, we're now going to go into Aggression to start off with our favorite bad boy, Darth Vader. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.